In 2003, researchers in Seattle ran a language experiment on two groups of American babies. Both groups got the exact same dose of Mandarin. Same native speakers, same words, same 12 sessions. One group's brains changed measurably. They kept sound distinctions that American babies normally lose forever. The other group learned nothing, zero, as if no one had spoken to them at all. The difference between those two groups was one thing. And it's the same thing that decides whether the hours you spend listening to a new language count as learning or count as nothing. By the end of this video, you'll know what it was, and it is probably not what you think. On the way, you'll watch babies crack a fake language in 2 minutes flat, meet the theory that started a 40-year fight in language science, and visit the Canadian classrooms where that theory fell apart. Quick question. How many grammar lessons did you take before you were fluent in your first language? Not perfect on paper, fluent, speaking in full sentences, arguing, lying, telling jokes. The answer is 0. Every fluent thing you said before age 5, you built from listening. Nobody explained the past tense to you. You heard it thousands of times, and one day it was just there. Which raises an uncomfortable question about how languages are usually taught. If listening built the first one, why are you memorizing tables for the second one? Hold that thought, because first you need to see the machine. Here's a problem you've never thought about. When someone speaks, there are no gaps between the words. None. Look at the sound wave of any sentence in any language, and it's one continuous smear of noise. The spaces you hear in your own language aren't in the sound. Your brain puts them there. So how does a baby, who doesn't know any words yet, figure out where one word ends and the next begins? In 1996, researchers at the University of Rochester played 8-month-old babies a made-up language. Just a stream of nonsense syllables. No pauses, no meaning, no help. 2 minutes later, the babies could tell real words of that language from fake ones. 2 minutes. The babies were doing statistics. Their brains tracked which syllables kept showing up together and quietly decided those ones are a word. That's the machine. It runs on nothing but sound. It never gets tired, and adults still have it. In the early 1980s, a linguist named Stephen Krashen turned this into the most famous fight in language science. His claim was that two different things happen when you take on a language. Learning, which is the conscious stuff, rules, tables, tests, and acquisition, which is what the sorting machine does while you understand messages. And here's the radical part. Krashen argued that only acquisition makes you fluent. In his model, all that grammar study builds is a little editor in your head. It can check your sentences after the fact, when there's time. It cannot produce a single one for you at speed. And real conversation doesn't leave time for the editor. His recipe fit in one phrase: comprehensible input. Messages you understand. Feed the machine enough of those, he said, and grammar grows on its own, in roughly the same order it grew in your first language. Now, I have to be straight with you. This is a hypothesis, not a law. Critics pointed out that it rests on distinctions you can't test from the outside, and scientists have been arguing about it for 40 years. And the best evidence against it comes from the place that believed in it hardest. Remember those Canadian classrooms I promised you? We're there. Since the 1960s, Canada has been running the biggest comprehensible input experiment in history without really meaning to. French immersion schools. English-speaking kids taught math, history, everything in French. Thousands of hours of input they understood. The results were strange. The kids listening and reading came out at native level. On comprehension tests, they scored like French-speaking kids. But the moment they opened their mouths, you could tell them apart. After years of understanding everything, their spoken French was still full of errors no native speaker would ever make. Understanding had gone all the way, speaking hadn't. The researcher who documented this, Meryl Swain, drew the obvious conclusion. Input is the engine, but at some point you have to speak, because speaking is where you find the holes that listening lets you hide. So no, Listening is not the whole game. But before you feel too good about your verb tables, here's the part I've been holding back. The biggest listening mistake isn't skipping the speaking. It's that most of what people call listening does absolutely nothing. Which brings us back to Seattle, and the answer, I owe you. The babies in that experiment were 9 months old, the best language learners on the planet. The first group got their 12 Mandarin sessions from a live person, playing with them, looking at them. Their brains kept the sounds. The second group got the identical material from the identical speakers, but on video or as audio playing in the room. That was the entire difference. A screen instead of a person. And it taught them nothing. The best language learning machine ever built got the same input through a screen and filed it as noise. That's the condition. The machine doesn't run on sound. It runs on sound you're tracking. Sound that almost means something to you. For the babies, that meant a real person looking at them. For you, it means this. Input only counts when you can almost understand it. Not the podcast that washes over you while you cook in a language you barely started. Not background TV. Something where you follow most of it and the machine gets to chew on the rest. Almost understanding. That's the entire method. Find something in your new language where you catch most of the words. Stay with it until it stops being hard. Then trade up. The people who seem to absorb languages without ever studying aren't skipping the work. They found the one kind of work that doesn't feel like any. Sitting one step past what they already know for hundreds of hours on purpose. Sort of. So you can't learn French by leaving the radio on, but you can't memorize your way to a conversation either. The boring truth this 40-year fight keeps landing on, mostly listen to things you almost understand and say some of it out loud before the editor talks you out of it. Which leaves one problem. To listen to something you almost understand, you have to be able to tell where the words even are. And in a language you are learning, at full speed, you can't. It is one long blur. Your first language never sounds like that. And the reason has almost nothing to do with speed. That is, next time.